Let's start from the beginning, from the creation of the world to the start of the show. Avatarus Roku and Sozin were buddies. They were close up from the young, but then think themselves over ideological differences. Sozin wanted to unite the world into one big country with good intentions, sure, even if it meant war. Roku straight up rejected that kind of short-minded, honestly, because Sozin took it personally. Roku couldn't be more diplomatic. Had a real head-to-head talk with his friend, tried to convince him that this idea is bad and it could be a better idea to unite the people. The cultures are just too different to merge overnight. There are other ways to build a new world without borders. But no, Roku went full brick wall. You can kinda understand Sozin's frustration. I mean, avatars in this world are basically peace-loving pussy fanboys. Even Kyoshi let some warlord conquest half of China before they finally dealt with him. And that was only after he demanded she kneel before him. And even then, they short of killed him by accident. So yeah, she avoided conflict to the bitter end. And Roku, he just flat out refused the idea. So no wonder Sozin didn't help Roku when it matters. Roku didn't trust his friend like human being. And still Sozin came to help him when he was in the danger. But in the end, that old grudge flared up. So many years passed and neither of them made a move to reconcile. The result? Sozin just left Roku to die. In his eyes, the greater good, the state, mattered more. Then Sozin decided to commit genocide against the nomad, basically the world's version of wandering monks, to wipe out the next avatar incarnation. Because avatars are supposed to preserve world peace, right? That's what the four nations' spiritual leaders agreed on, but Sozin didn't like that setup, and he basically turned his whole country church into a state-controlled puppet. Meanwhile, Aang is out playing with the kids carefree. That he suddenly gets caught up, told he needs to fast-track his way into manhood, because big trouble brewing. Debt collectors from the central bank are coming to squeeze the temple folks dry, and it reeks of serious trouble. They would send the 19th mafia boys to handle things, which basically means mass extermination. The only one who can save everyone is Avatarus Aang, because a bunch of pacifists can't really form an army to defend themselves, and can handle the pressure. War doesn't fit his worldview at all. He's a peaceful nomad, not raised by Viking style, not designed for Valhalla. He imagined his life going in totally different direction. So, panicking Aang runs away from his temple, gets caught in the storm, and ends up cryogenically freezing himself in the avatar state for a whole century. What happened next is a pretty obvious. A 100 years war, the entries to China analog continent gets invaded by the Japanese analog in Fire Nation people. Beijing, Basingse, gets besieged. They are about to break through the wall, then during the assault, the son of the General Iroh dies. This hits Iroh hard. He steps down from the command, mentally wrecked and unfit for war. Then Azai tells Fire Lord Azulon to disarm Iroh and name him Azai as heir. Iroh apparently is just a sweetheart, like say Fire Lord Azai, future Fire Lord Azai. Azulon's furious that he raised such a brat instead of volunteering to take his brother's place in grief. Azai wanted to kill him off and snatch the throne. Shitty stuff. Azai is basically a full-on psychotic warlord, and that's made pretty clear over the series. Whatever he killed his dead or not, he still got the throne. Iroh stepped away voluntarily because his mental state was fried. He basically retreated. Azai raised his daughter like a killing machine and raised his son like a daughter, constantly putting him down by hyping up the girl. Classic behavior in a militaristic Japanese codec society. Basically, the guy's first wave radical feminism in warlord form. He keeps pushing the war at breakneck speed, throwing mint into the grinder without caring about the long-term consequences. Sadly, we don't get to see any domestic backlash in this country. Like, hey, maybe we shouldn't let this lunatic keep using people as a cannon fodder? Like a fresh meat for battle? Huh? But the writers couldn't show up everything, unfortunately. Then, at the War Council, Zuko criticizes a general's plan, so what does as I do? Calls his own son out to Agnikai, a duel, and end up scaring and banish him. Genius parenting. Again, we don't get to see the aftermath, but in a better version of the show, so this might be whispering like a fire lot isn't even legit. Azalan was the real deal. Rest his soul. This guy's just a patricidal psycho who dishowed his own kid and make his daughter the heir with behaving man. Not honorable at all. Arah sets out on a journey with his nephew, supports him in the mission to find the avatar, mentors him, and basically backrolls the whole operation. Zuko's broke. He just left with what he had, but Arah, being a retired general, has plenty of resources. He's Zuko, sponsor and coach, and Arah has a plan. He seems Azai's on a height, weighs and knows we wouldn't be able to hold the throne for long. Zuko, trained by Arah, might be immature and hot-headed, but he's not crazy. There is hope. So Japan, in this Avatar-coded world, Fire Nation, might not win, but maybe it can survive. The plan is simple and solid. Raise Zuko right and see what happens. Arah has an ace up his sleeve. He's a member of White Lotus. The guys are true believers, and when the time comes, Arah can summon the best mind in war and win some to rise up. But first, Zuko has to grow up. He's still just a jump teenager and start moment. Arah's plan was clear. Actually find the Avatar, then team up him against Azai. Let the Avatar do the dirty work, take the dime, while Zuko stays out of it. That's why Zuko steps in a legitimate hair, untouched by scandal, but first he's got to stop being a teenage idiot. Zuko travels a long time and will years searching for the Avatar, no luck. But then, bam, he finds him start a line. But turns out the Avatar isn't come-wise, battle-hardened elder. He's just a kid, so he even matched. Zuko captures the Avatar, but Aang escapes soon after. And by the way, notice how Arah doesn't exactly hustle to help his new pick catch the Avatar. He guided him, sure, but keep it in hands off. He's playing the long game. So Avatar gets cuffed. Avatar escapes. Zuko goes off to get repairs, and Commander Zhao finds out the Avatar's alive, which means jackpot. Perfect chance to boost his career, whatever by capturing Aang alive or just wiping him out. Katara and Sokka go out to fishing, but what they exactly are planning to catch? It's one girl and one boy for a whole village of elders and kids. How are they supposed to provide food for themselves? And well, how are they planning to fix population questions? By the incest or what? Anyway, meanwhile, Katara and Sokka discovered a boy frozen inside an iceberg. They break iceberg, opened it, and it turned out to be the Avatar. So they knew the Avatar comes big, but like a little boy. Zuko spots the Avatar Aang and Katara and immediately sets his ships in these directions. I think you know, like me, and if you don't know, I tell you this, that Zuko is fully sponsored or rather supervised by his uncle Arrow, right? And Iroh isn't just hanging around Zuko out of grandfatherly kindness. The royal family is going through the succession crisis. Not many heirs and not much talents. By the way, Ozai even make her his daughter, not son. And there is just two kids. One daughter, one boy. And he banished his male hair. When Aaron returned from his campaign, Lord Azulon was dead. Iroh's own son was gone, and that left Azai on the throne. Iroh stepped aside from the crown to raise Zuko, hoping to preserve the dynasty. But Azai turned out to be such a short-sighted ruler that he banished his only male heir and named his daughter as the successor. What a degenerate move. Zuko fights the Avatar, and in the end, Aang strikes a deal. Zuko can take the Avatar as a prisoner, and he's leave the village alone. Zuko agrees, but since Aang knows Kung Fu and Zuko knows only Judo, Aang overwhelms him with his abundant skills. At some point, Aang goes into the Avatar's state, and the whole world realizes that Avatar was returned. Because of this, the Fair Nation intensifies its war effort, acquiring siege technologies and even building the drill to break through Bathing Thay's wall, all to crush resistance before the Avatars can grow strong enough to overthrow Azai. Notice how Iroh doesn't really help Zuko catch the Avatars. That's because he has his own way, because he's in Mason Lodge, actually, at supervisor position. His goal is to create a situation where Zuko becomes a fully trained, capable leader, someone who could replace Azai without the Japanese falling into chairs. Overthrowing Azai before Zuko really would make no sense. Who would rule then? A council of old generals with only 5-10 years left in them, and they would die after? It's a foolish move. They need a strong young successor. That's why Iroh often steps back, letting Zuko learn through failure and gain the experience of making his own decisions. Avatar's crew flies to Southern Air Temple. Katara understands that Tibet's monk was fate like poor Israelis in Germany 1930, so she's trying to prepare Aang to know the truth. Trying to say truth for Falconer. But Aang put it in psychological defense and say maybe everybody walks somewhere to walk. And it would be a moment when Avatars say monk Gyatso scaled body. Just pussy magic from Katara make Aang calm down. And this time Zuko comes to port to Admiral Zhao to fix the ship. Admiral Zhao crew have a good agency cooperation, so they ask Zuko's crew about Avatars, and they know already the truth, that Avatar has damaged Zuko's ship so much. Avatars is back. Just Zuko and Admiral Zhao and some priests know about this information at the moment of the third series. Everybody else no. Admiral Zhao bullying Zuko. Zuko is Kido style trying to defend himself, and conflicts come to Agni Kai duel. In duel, Zuko was winning duel because of uber secret techniques from Kung Fu webinars by Uncle Iroh Azulson. Zuko was won because he was teaching by Master Iroh, and Zuko respects his master, and Zhao has betrayed his master earlier. That's how our head is working. Zhao devolves the master and devolves the skills that you learn from this your master. And Zhao betrays his master. He deprives himself of the highest degree of mastery. Zhao tries to punch Zuko in back, but Aang caught him in punch back by one doom punch like Bruce Lee. You may ask, why so old Screwfold make and punch 35 years old man, if not great but good commander, in good physical condition, high level of his health, so he's even flied by one punch. It's because Aang is high level master. Zuko's trying to kill Zhao instead, but Aang stops him. He says, don't waste your victory like that. But why he sings this? So it's because Zuko would be sit on throne in future. When Zuko comes to take throne, everybody would ask about his past. And they would know that Zuko is not high-level testosterone baboon teenager. It's cold-headed emperor. So high-level clan chiefs can make deal with Zuko. But if Zuko has killed everybody like crazy baboon, no one let him come to even for a mile to throne. That's why Aang says Zuko, don't waste your victory like this. By the way, I think it's because of Aang they founded Avatars first, because of has a subtle connection with the spirit world. Or maybe it's just a director's conversion, a piano in the boosters to give punch for storytelling. Zuko is meditating. Aang comes in and reports that Avatar still can be found. Here is an interesting note. Zuko is meditating in front of the dragon statue. The dragon is also considered the guardian spirit of Shinobi no Mono in this universe. Later, Zuko will show off his full shinobi skills in the Blue Spirit episode, when he sneaks into the castle and steals to take the Avatars from Commander Zhao. By the way, the Shinobi no Mono skills, that means someone who hidden in the shadows, are divided into 3 levels. The first is all about sneaking into fortress in stealth, make diversion and escape. The second level of Shinobi no Mono, it's about planning and organizing an operation. For a shinobi to sneak in a fortress, you need intel, preparing, and groundwork. You need someone inside who will meet you, feed you, give you information. You need allies inside castle who will send signals like, this part is clear, but this one isn't. I once read an old three-eyed shinobi that told an amazing story. One shinobi infiltrated a fortress, and then he was spotted and started to run. He turned a corner and vanished, just like this. The guards chasing him ran around the corner and found nothing. Later, the text explained why. Behind that corner there was a dark pit, and undercover agent had dug it beforehand. The shinobi jumped in the pit, buried himself, and breathed through the bamboo tube he brought along. That same agent pretended to chase him, to ensure the shinobi hid safety, and then missiles the guards. No one here, he's gone. Like he disappeared into the air. That's the real art of second-level shinobi, coordinating a team so everybody covers for each other. The third level of shinobi mastery is running a clan. A clan is an alliance of several families. Usually, there is one dominant family deciding the clan's long-term directions. Could you make a 100-year business plan for your family? No? Well, that's a brave minimum for being a third-level shinobi master. The highest level of mastery. Zuko, as you might have guessed, mastered all 3 in time. He commands a ship, organizes operation, takes a part in the mission himself, and will soon rule a whole nation. Back to our kids. Aang, Sokka and Katara are flying by gut feeling towards the North Pole because Aang can't read the map. We also start to see Aang teenage hormones kicking in. He's trying to make jokes and impress Katara. The thing is, Katara is a year older than Aang. It looks like being an older woman, huh? Normally, men goes to youngest girls, not older ones. It's only in our days stay normal and called like MILF hunting. Things has become trendy, right? This is where sex education is needed. Not that useless shit you was taught in school, but the real one. Here's how it works, brothers. A woman wants to show up when everybody and everything is all ready for her. Like when you get a job, you want a stable pay, a clear position, respectful treatment, and an employee. And in return, you're ready to follow the rules. Same with women. But if you, a guy, has no clue what he wants in his life, if his only plan is poking his carrot into a bin, so women won't like that. He doesn't know where to take her after sex, into the soup, or into the Red Army, or just put it to the bench of just the friends. What he is supposed to do? So brothers, grow up your intellect, or women won't give you a pussy. The local Amazons captured the avatar, but once they found his real avatar, they threw a party. This episode perfectly shows how rumors spread. Just a few trades pass the word, and soon even the bears know where the avatar is. Their secret mission to the North Pole is no longer secret. Aang fools around his fangirls, but they lose interest fast. Not surprising, anyone who tries to be a clown for teenage girls burn out quick. If someone don't know about what beavers I'm talking about, here is a story. A wolf was running through the forest, running, and then bam! He gets stuck between two trees. Just then a hare come running by, so the wolf come up from behind and fuck wolf in the ass. The wolf hobbled, tore himself free from trees, and chased after the hare. He ran and ran, but the hare jumped into a swamp. When he climbed out, he was all covered in mud. The wolf ran up and shouted, "Beaver! Beaver! Haven't you seen the hare?" The beaver playfully cut him off and said, "I don't talk to faggots." Bloody hell, even beaver know everything! Meanwhile, Prince Zuko raids the village. He faces armored women in battle skirts and beats them easily. The Kyoshi warriors had the elements of surprise at first, but discipline and testosterone of young men crushed them all. Typical story even in Trojan War. The Amazons, that actually was lesbians because of they from Lesbos Island. In this story, Amazons is just a marketing name. So Amazons fought for Troy and got destroyed in the first battle. That's woman's glory in war for you. Nature wins. It's no wonder women run this island. They haven't seen real war for 100 years, maybe more. They have no experience, no smell of reality. Maybe if it was from Kyoshi Avatar, maybe even more than 100 years. And quickly realized that village is in danger because of him, so he decided to leave and hide. At the end, they added a bit of clownery where Zuko gets soaked, but I hope everyone understands that Zuko crew is far more organized than Aang's gang for the Kyoshi cosplay girls. The village survived only because Aang ran away. Predator saw the prey, escaped and chased after it. Sure, warriors can follow a strong young man, but women warriors? Come on, that's a joke. And don't start writing nonsense in the comments like, women can fly with birds a day. No, they don't. They sit in the office doing paperwork so that men can go to kill each other. That's not the same things. War is ugly. It stinks of blood and death. We might romanticize this, but when you face reality, your spine collapses from fear. If men lose their nerves, there's nothing to say about women. That's all. The Avatar arrives in Amashu. What is special about the city of Amashu? Let's start with an education explanation. Look, the city of Amashu, it's a big city. A big city is usually built in a place with a good for trade, a place where a strong feudal lord happened to live. The feudal lord is strong because he has won many battles, earned a lot of money, he's an excellent military commander and has a big results in this. That's why he has money and wants to invest it into his city. But the very respected people, the truly rich ones, don't live in the cities. They only comes to the city for business meetings, and most of their time they spend on their country estates. The Avatar was caught for damaging the postal system and was brought to trial before the feudal Lord Bumi. Lord Bumi said, "Let's throw a party." He immediately recognized Aang and understood right away how he would teach him, what he would do step by step, because he's not a fool and has wisdom. He saw much things in his life, but the first time you see him, you think he's kind of idiot. But no, not an idiot, but clever and picky man. You will see it later. King Bumi reveals everything literally in the next minute. He exposes Aang and shows him to everybody. He says, "We have an airbender here, and not just any, it's Avatar. Avatarus." And he calls Aang by the name that Aang was said before when he is entered in city. So King Bumi also has his intelligence network working properly. Report go to the right desk, not lost on the way. By the way, in small details we are shown that Bumi is not a stuck-up idiot. When a guard asked which room to bring the Avatar and company to, Bumi calmly answered, without arrogance and vanity. He gave a specific answer and clear solution. He said it would be better to number the rooms so there's no confusion. Seems like a small thing, but if you don't pay attention to the small things, girl won't give you a pussy. From such details, we understand that it's possible to do business with Lord Bumi. He's not arrogant, he answers reasonably. Even in small things, he finds a solution right away. It seems like a small thing, but when you have to check someone and might give him your money, whether for a consultation or to invest in their work, that's every little detail matters. Every little thing shows the character of that person. The first trial from King Bumi is to praise his outfit. Also, actually, King Bumi tricked Avatar. He didn't count that as a real trail. Then he gives exactly 3 trails, not 2 as promised before. Never trust feudal laws. The first counted trail is to get the cave without touching the waterfall. Of course, King Bumi commented and says Avatar's so dumb. The second task is to bring Flopsy. Aang runs to get the bunny, but this bunny turns out to the baby of much bigger rabbit, a huge creature, the size of truck. You could use him as a pack move, which actually will happen during the capture of Ba Sing Se. What I say Ba Sing Se? Amashu. The third trail is a duel. Aang chooses the king himself, like a champion, to fight. But King Bumi is not a fool. He wouldn't be king. He wouldn't be a successful feudal lord if he wasn't be a great fighter. He looks like a weak old man, but he turns out to be the most powerful airbender in his kind of magic. Not just a great fighter, but also a good military commander. Not just a good commander, but a smart strategist. And all of this make him the ruler of very rich city. And people walk around him, not out of fear, but out of respect. So it's not surprising he's a rich feudal lord, almost like the Chinese emperor in Ba Sing Se. After the Avatar takes part in the duel, because King Bumi wins but doesn't finish it completely. And Bumi asks, "Who am I?" Name by name. Reminder, the Avatar doesn't even know the king's name. He just knows it's some feudal lord and very powerful bender. And argues that it's not fair. King Bumi promised that he would free his friends. For this, Bumi replies, "What's the point of a promise if you can break it? It's boring." But finally, Aang realizes it's a Bumi. He says his real name. The childhood friends hug each other. The Avatar thanks King Bumi for the trials and wins them. That's important. He thanks him, doesn't complain. That's also part of good manners. And that's where the episode ends. Well, they also ride the postal rails and King Bumi give them some money. That's all. Don't trust feudal lord without contract. Aang, Sokka and Katara are struggling. They decided they need to find a place to buy some food. And suddenly, there appears the Ashband. The kid's trying to talk to him, but he runs away. They catch up the Ashband in the village that was terrorized by local Nazi. They are squeezing the popular drive. Ashband is banned, also like LGBT+, and Fury. All soldiers have surrendered. All soldiers that should defeated this village, of course. By military standards, this is probably the worst thing that they can do, just surrender. A soldier's job is not surrender. So the soldiers from this village turn out to the garbage. For military standards, Katara and Haru helped old man who is trapped in a rock slide, but Haru reveals his ability. He is in danger from the local Nazi. Turn out the old man snitched on Haru, and he was taken to prison. What does this scene teach us? Don't help people you don't know, just don't. In today's world, if you try to help, this person can blame you that you're trying to harm him. Help only those you trust. The other thing you can do in this life is just try to serve people in general, not a specific community of decent people, just people. In this case, where prison was a real risk, the smart thing was not to help at all. Katara finds out Haru was arrested and immediately comes up with a plan to rescue him. Well, you can tell who's in the charge in this group, who is the daddy, who is the chief or Führer or whatever. Not Aang, not Sokka, but Katara. She's like the group mommy, but helping everyone, you see, that's a bad idea. It's one thing, one situation if Aang knows he needs to train and become stronger for the final battle. So Aang helping people to make up his level. It's another thing to help everyone just because Katara feels it's right. But there is nothing right in war. War is chaos. Both sides are humans. Humans have mothers, fathers, children. Every person killed is someone's son, someone's flesh and blood, someone's dead, another. And making the equations based on girlish emotions about who deserves help that smoke like fresh diarrhea. Katara got Haru into the trouble with her dumb advice, and now she's trying to fix it. That's why she has a motto in her rear. She wants to make up her mistake. Next come a cringe scene. Katara gets thrown in the prison. The prison is badly designed, to be honest. Obviously, they tried to make it look like Shawshank Redemption, but in Shawshank the prisoner get his for asking the dumb question like, "When we get the food?" Here a man just cough. Maybe he's just sick, and what the guardians do? Right, throw him in solitary. But it isn't just a prison, it's a labor complex. There should be a system. If even 2% of prisoners would die, it's already bad news. It reduced productivity. further ships will be built. This is a part of war machine. The goal is offensive. If these guys are such evil occupiers who exploit people, they would have shot the dumb guard first for destroying labor resources. Because this is about money. And where is money? There's no place for idiocy, you know? The prisoners don't get warm blankets. That's nonsensely. Again, in a real prison like that, it wouldn't happen. If it's a labor camp, the prisoners are workforce. The workforce must be fat and healthy. If someone gets sick, it's an epidemic risk. He must be isolated. That's financial security issue. Because in this case, the prisoners mean money. So I don't buy it. Katara starts a communist rebellion. She calls on the people to rise up against the firebenders, saying, "We have spirit, we are fighters, let's build communism, raise people, raise." Well, it came off as silly. Everyone laughed and went back to their beds, because if they had fighting spirit, they wouldn't be in prison. They either would we won the battle or died trying. Another thing with a dumb military officer. Soldiers report that they saw a flying bison. It's a strange information, not yet confirmed. At that point, no one knows that Avatar was back. How does the prison warden react? Of course, correctly. Throw his own soldier off the platform at the sea over some idiotic shit. And it was a Stearman's actually. Insane shit. You watch something like that and think, sure, the show has a good moments, but here is just a hit fucking garbage scene. Smells like fresh diarrhea. Aang, Sokka and Katara come up with a plan to get a call to help the Ashbender fight. Not right away, but eventually the benders rise up once they have weapons. Well, when the avatars themselves come to help, suppose people will try, why not? And only then, with the avatars' help, do they raise up. On their own, they wouldn't have managed, so they lost because of their own weakness. The avatar in this case is a miracle that might not have happened. And since they got lucky, good for them, but if that miracle didn't come, what next? They were already dead men, so don't glorify them as heroes. They were saved by a piano in the bushes. It's like Deus Ex Machina. Admiral Zhao arrives and learns an important fact about the Avatar. He has a flying bison. Perfectly. In the future, he's used this information to request a promotion from the Fire Lord. Zuko arrives also at the stand and investigates. He finds Katara's necklace. This will become important later. Again, attention to details is a thing of mastery. Even if the whole show isn't logical, these moments are shining. The series starts from kids who crying because of dead trees of fire. They get to a local village and talk to a head of this village, and head of this village says that they have problems with spirit of Heibai. In future, we would know that Heibai kidnapped earlier near 10-50 people. So I have a question, why they stay here? And still, I don't know. And if you don't have avatars in your pocket, so you'll be waiting, then Heibai bleed out all of you? Why are you not running? And why avatars should help those idiots that don't have instinct of self-preservation? Avatars wait until night to have a talk with Heibai. Sokka, which script writers making like old fishing patriarchal clown, trying to kill Subic Spirit by boomerang, and Spirit kidnapping Sokka. So, you may ask me, why is Sokka so dumb and everybody bullying him? It's not just because he was born a man, and in modern Shonen state, being white heterosexual man, it's high-level crime. it's just because of forced policy. If you don't make looked clownly, truths like man more strong as a woman, so you can public your serial. General Ira Hazelson have a reluctant bath, and then Chinese warriors captive him. Leaked. Zuko Azai-san coming to Ira Hazelson to fight him. Chinese trying to convene Ira Hazelson to Ba Sing Se, its local Beijing in this serial, to summon to court him for crime before communism. Ira Hazelson make notice for Zuko Azai-san sticky slipper so Zuko can find right away. Thanks God that script makers don't make General Ira Hazelson so dumb like Sokka in this serial, and we have some place for normal people. Aang comes to Spirit World, and Spirit of Abatarus Roku Pad helped Abatarus and come to Roku to talk. Natively, Roku says that they can talk more in Southeast Day, in a concrete place. We now know that Ira Hazelson seen spirits and he thinking it's a thing to escape, and he did it, but Zuko saw Abatarus bison, but Ira Hazelson more important than Abatarus, because without master or you nobody. So Zuko find out his uncle and make free. Note that Ira addressed Zuko by his official title, Prince Zuko, not just Zuzu, Dusi, Pussy, Many. He don't call Zuko like a dog, like most of two legs so-called people like to do in school. He called him with respect, like Prince, because he is just teenager now, but in future he grow up and stay emperor. So Zuko Azai-san and Ira Hazel-san killed Chinese warriors without harmless for his health. After joining Spirit World, Aang can talk to Heibai normally, and he have heard her talking with him and convince him to free people. I'm asking again, why are you not running because of 10-50 people was kidnapped? Why are you waiting? What are you waiting for? Miracle in Abatar's Aang person? And if he wouldn't make a journey stop in your position? These idiots before the death phase choose city's comfort like water closet and doing nothing and just waiting. Did they really need help of Abatarus, or maybe they so dumb so they should, die? The Avatar heads to the island. Naturally, Zuko sniffed out the walls 10, and during interrogations, the tender-hearted citizens spiked everything. Didn't even try to lie, just dump it all out as it was. So much for trusting snaggletooth-head peasants after that. Abatarus break through the checkpoint. Commander Zhao allows Zuko to pose the Avatar. The commander might be hot-tempered and therefore an idiot, but not a complete fool. He's got cunning. Zuko will chase the Abatarus and he will chase Zuko. Zuko catch on this move from Commander Zhao that he'll be hunted. And so he heads to the temple on a boat, sending his ship ahead as smokescreen. But Commander Zhao, as an idiot is, he knows full well that you can sail for a long on lake ship without repairs, which means the Abatarus location must be something specific. He opens the map and notices there is a fire temple of Abatarus Roku nearly, and that's when Commander Zhao gets it. He realizes the smoke screen from Zuko is just discretion. It's just a distraction. So he splits his forces and took a legate to sail the island of Abatarus Roku himself, and sends part of his men after the smoke trail, just in case. At the fire temple, the priests have become politicized over the past 100 years and want to grab the Abatarus into the prison and head him over to the local feudal lord in exchange for big thank you, a bubble of rice, and a cat wife, and plus 100 social credits. The Avatars resist those urges and get lost in the corridors until he bumps into a kindly priest who wants to help the Avatars and lead him to the main chamber with statue of Avatars Roku. But the Avatars crew faces difficulties. The doors can only be opened by 5 lined fire streams, and bombs don't help. But the bombs serve as a great fake-out checkpoint, considering that Avatars has his own influence agent among the priests. The agent steers the pod, saving the Avatars slipped inside, and they have to open the gates before he merges with Roku. So all 5 priests open the gates. But what a bad situation! Zuko turns out to be right here. The bastard grabs Aang. What the fuck? I tried to Google Translate this text from my native language, and this shit talking that Zuko bastard, but he's not bastard, don't trust me. I just did wrong translate. Zuko not bastard, because there is another word. Like bad guy, but more bad than just bad guy. Because bad guy here's like kiddo style. Zuko as a son grabs Aang and can get through the closing door, but just like in a joke about a mental patient. He somehow breaks free from Zuko's grip and slips into the right location. The door is shut, it's soul side time, and Roku's spirit has entered the vault and doesn't want those doors opened. The Avatars enter into a dialogue with Roku. Roku talk to Aang and tell him about the comet, which will grant honor power to the Fire Nation, and they will obviously use it for a war. What's curious is that Roku shows Aang the path that benefits him. Even though it's the same soul, the Avatars, but the personalities from one life cycle to the next are different. Meanwhile, Admiral Zhao is right here. He arrives with his elite guard and arrests everyone just in case. You know, so no one gets ideas about doing nasty stuff. Puts his men in a place to open the gate. The gate opens, but it's the figure of Avatars Roku who opened them, not elite guard. Avatars Roku throws the building into the abyss of oblivion. He doesn't want the island to exist anymore, so he triggered a volcano eruption. Then Roku's form fades away. The avatar, is picked up by his friends, and they fly away from the island. The Echo escapes, and Admiral Zhao is left standing in front of the priest, now filled with indignation. These idiots ruined his avatar capture with their stupidly disorganization. Admiral Zhao decides to hand the priest over the Emperor Azai for judge, and at the same time reports that the avatar has been found and that he, Commander Zhao, has full information of him, and he even has a plan to catch him. The results of his plan we will learn in the episode of the Blue Spirit. It's a long way to go from now, but in this episode number 8, they laid the groundwork all the way to the episode number 13. That what Admiral Zhao is plotting now in episode 8 won't be realized until 13th episode. The Avatars and his command are resting. Meanwhile, they exalt Prince Zuko's training, and one moment, someone changed the ship's course. Zuko rushed to the deck and yells at the helmsman, "Who did it?" And here Uncle Ira Azelson replies, "I ordered the course change, and Ira Azelson have a very respectful reason for this. He doesn't have his White Lotus pie shore tile. Zuko, of course, stunned by so much statement, but there is an known ones. We know that Iroh is a member of White Lotus Mason Lodge, and he needs the tile to find other members during a game of Paisho, talk with them, get key intel, and lay out his plans on how to rebalance the political powers of this world. Katara is teaching Aang waterbending, and Aang in turn picks up instantly, and Katara gets jealous. Soon the gang would decide, and it's really gang, because they come from nowhere, sometimes thieving, don't pay debts, don't have passports. It's okay, we can call it free people, but in today they would be bandits, you know. Abataro's crew decides to go to a village, but it's not just a village, it's a local crime hub. Pirates, smugglers, prostitutes, and other citizens with reduced social responsibility and living there. Aang buys a whistle, and that trinket will play a great role later. The pirates flew the Avatar's crew onto the ship to sell off some stolen goods. The Avatars notice the waterbending scroll, but they don't have enough money to buy it. The money that King Bumi gave them, the Avatar teams have gloriously blow it all. Aang tries to haggle, but Katara steals the scroll and asks everyone to leave. As the crew is leaving, and for now it's gang leaving because they have stolen this waterbending scroll. The criminals very quickly notice that theft and react instantly. Reminder, this is a thief's hub. Here feudal laws don't apply. Where a feudal lord shows up, stomps his foot, and decides who is right and who wrong. If you don't have brute, strange, or street reputation among criminals, or your own crew that's ready to back you with blades, your situation is bleak. You will have to suck it up. The pirates, by the way, use various weapons that were also used by ninjas and peasants in feudal Japan. Sickles, pared daggers, broadswords, chains. A war arsenal. Reminders, spears, bows, and shields are used in phalanx formation, but all these unusual weapons the pirates carry are for skirmishes. They give an edge because the enemy has never seen someone fighting with sickles or a chain before, and they poor, of course. They just don't know how to encounter it, and pirates actually don't have enough money for normal weapon and normal armor. And there was no internet back then. That's how pirates and sometimes ninjas seized the initiative. The security site. Note, no more. Iroh has also buys a pile of junk from the pirates for a reasonable price. Short he never find what he's looking for. I suppose lately they will resell this junk at other ports and live off the 2-coin difference of buy and sell. Otherwise, how would they even support their crew? Closer to the end of the session, we will find out that crew is hard help, because when Admiral Jar offers them to join the assault on the water tribe, they agree and ditch Zuko. Federal retainers can just up and leave, but mercenaries can. The pirates complain they let the bold monk and the girl sleep short, and Zuko is right there, so they join forces. Meanwhile, Katara's training uses the stolen scroll. She's failing hard. People mock her, and she snaps at Aang for no reason. Zuko and the pirates captain are pushing the Avatar by water. The captain suggests maybe we should check the forest, but Zuko Azaison sharply points, it's no need to do. If they only stole the water-bending scroll and nothing else, then there will be no water. At night, Katara takes the scrolls and sneaks off to train again, completely forgetting her promise not to touch it anymore. Because of that demon piece of paper, she lashed out at her friends. Not a very Christian move, you know. And Zuko was right. Katara once again puts the whole team at risk just to satisfy her whims. They could really just sailed past, but since Katara was out there practicing and yelling too loud, she got spotted. The Perseus came down in boats and she was captured. Zuko and the pirates managed to capture Katara. The pirates want to get the scroll back from Zuko and return to base. Zuko makes a mistake. He tries to blackmail the pirates. We just talked, offered to pay extra for the help, but because he went full blackmail mode, they hold a grudge. And with that grudge, they will create problems for Zuko, which we will see later. For now, they go along with it. The pirates manage to capture the Avatar too. They are about to make a deal, but then Sokka convinces the pirates to cancel it, because Emperor Ozai would pay way more for the Avatar. The pirates decided, forget the deal, we will keep the scroll. Zuko doesn't back down and they start fighting each other. By the way, there is a wrong name of Emperor Ozai, just Ozai. He's not a kid, he's Emperor actually. Ozai Azulson, that's how he should be to call. He has a father actually. He's not a bastard of someone who doesn't even know. He's a noble, of course. During the fight, the Avatar team escapes and even he checks a ship. Meanwhile, Iroh Azulson stops the brawl between pirates and Zuko Azaison and says, while you idiots were brawling, your ship got stolen. The pirates were the first to actually wake up and stole Zuko's ship, so now Zuko is shipless and the pirates are afloat. She's in the Avatar to get the ship back. The pirates board take his ship to Avatar. The Avatar uses the whistle he brought earlier in the pirate hub to summon Appa. While Appa is flying in, the team fight back against the pirates. Then jumps on Appa and escapes. Another unnecessary misadventure. All because Katara's got a motor in her ass. Let's start keeping count of all the dumb crap that Avatar's crew gets into because of Katara. That's 2 so far. The pirates' adventure and free the prisoners before. Avatar's command find out Japanese tribes, and Sokka decided they should go by walk, so no one can find Avatarus because of flying bison. Commander's Avatar finds Japanese camp, and from nowhere comes Jed, local psycho. Katara, of course, stay in love in him because of instincts. Sokka don't like Jed, and that's he's trying to use Avatar crew in his own operations. But Katara's pussy already wet, and Aang just pussy wiped, so no one listens to Sokka because of 3 reasons. First of all, of course, it's because he's a man. Second of all, it's because men in this serial just train in decoration like punching bag. And the third reason, Sokka was born like white heterosexual man, not even gay or black transgender, so he should be evil, criminal, or dumb body for punching, because it's Netflix quotes that everyone should use in his serials. Jet takes Sokka for mission, and Sokka sees that Jet tries to make them murder the old man. Then Sokka stops Jet from murdering, at least. He understands in this sense that Jet is headsick because of war trauma. So he's gonna kill all Japanese, even 5-year-old kids, I suppose. So, because of he's a terrorist community leader, old man, just a little stress, out punching big, no more. Sokka trying to weigh out command of Avatar by same story he saw with this old man robbery. And Jet says some dumb shit that this old man have poison in his dagger and was trying to kill Jet somehow. How he could do that, I don't know. But I know who will trust Katara and Aang. What do you think they prefer? Ultimate Sokka, who is you from start of your journey, or random pretty-faced someone? Katara's pussy instantly choose Jet, and I'm just wiped by Katara's smell of pussy, so he is do the same. Friends are argue with each other. Sokka says that his instincts say they should go, and Katara replies that her instincts say they should stay here and help Psycho Jet. We even know the name of this organ, where these instincts locate. It's wet and hairy one. So here we know life lesson. Don't try to make some kind relationships with older women than you, like Aang did. He's just 1 year younger, and already femdom dweller with no bells, and his own opinion by Katara. And Jed was doing everything right, from men's side to female side relationships and operation expediently. So in this moment you can even take lead of Jet if you wish. Yes, Jet is kind of psychopath, but he's not a fool at all. He's cold-headed psycho, even with some irrational fears that break his own life actually. He's not planned to blow up water reservation before Avatar crew leaves, but he did a few mistakes, actually. And Jet actually knows the art of war, that partisans war full of dirty moves like civilian killing. Dirty moves like civilian killing. You know, like in Iraq and Afghanistan did American army by killing civilians to break partisans. It's part of total war, actually. If you don't kill civilians, so partisans would cover himself by kids and women like it's doing right now in Gaza sector. Communist partisans with Sokka to judge him 20 years of maximum security execution, so Sokka asks why are you coming for this psycho? And they replies, look, Jet is good leader. We do what he say and everything going good for us. So we do what we do. That's why they don't care. They say, we don't care what he say, but we will do it. Even Japanese village genocide, it's okay for us. They don't say about genocide, but they mean that. So Sokka is leaving from Aang and Katara just find out about Jet's dam exploding. Jet trying to lie, but he did a few mistakes before. First of all, he stay bomb too early. Second, he says that Sokka is some kind of trouble because of Jets, and maybe even he killed by Jet. So that's why Katara attacks to Jet, and of course Aang, like pussy wiped by Katara, did the same. Jet's crew blow up a dam and water smash village. But we know that Sokka has warned Japanese from village and they gone because of old man who was protected by Sokka earlier, and this old man gives a word for Sokka. So local adults thought Sokka says true and they left village. Operation was failed, and this is another idiotic adventure because of Katara's specificity. It's already free series, we have problems because of women's hormones, you know? Sokka and Katara are arguing again over some bullshit. A tent, sticks, or dildo. I don't know what they have a problem. Basically, they pissed off at each other and both feel offended. And tries to make peace between they, but here is the catch: to make people reconcile, you either have to talk to mature, conscious adults who probably wouldn't even fight in the first place, or you just have to bow them around. Just come in and say, I don't give a damn about your feeling. You will do what I say because I'm the boss. That's how orders is kept. Mutual respect takes years of work, but people are lazy. Why? I'd rather eat, watch Skibidi-Doo or even Skibidi-Toilet and jack off. I don't need your so-called developmental reigning of crap. That's why in our society everything works simply on animal levels. Aang, Sokka and Katara meet two tribes, neighbors tribes that of course are at war and no longer even remember why, but they keep fighting anyway. Classic situations. The archetype of war looks like this in 80% of cases. Two sides offended each other and decided to fight. Anyway, the guide reads the rules. No food in the canyon because local cockroaches will attack. One day without food won't kill you. Cockroaches attack the guide, who is the only one with earthbending skills, and injure his hands. Naturally, both tribes keep bickering non-stop. As well, we find out later both of them took food in the canyon. Typical example. Both tribes took food in the canyon. This guy thinks they so badass that they can't stand a day without food. Lazy Pacific Sea dude who care more about filling their bellies than surviving. That's a really disgusting level. Make you question. Whatever, it's even worse happens these people at all. The guy is the most pitiful here. His hands got broken. This was an expensive lesson, paid with the integrity of his hands. Both tribes tell the story about how good and noble they are, and how the neighbor's tribe is dirty scum, and all of them should be murdered! Killed, of course killed. It's legit killed in war. And they are murdering us and we are killing him in holy war. You know, like all wars. But what's the point of this stories? Because the story in what? It's a person tale plus how they perceive the situation, and every time a person recalls a story they rewrite in their head. The same story change? Drastically dependence of the mood. If you live in a constant offense and anger, you will remember the same story as you kind of heavenly punishment. But if you're in a descent, slightly upbeat mood, you will recall this with amusement. The tribes fights and brawl. In turnout, everyone took food in the canyon after all. That's why the cockroaches attack the group. Together, Aang's team defeats and settles the cockroaches and get out of the canyon. That's I want to call it like crocodile because how to say crocodile I know, but how read word cockroach I don't know. So maybe you tell me in commentaries how it's better to call in right position, because English my not native language. On the line was the avatar. Mm-mm-mm. That's the tribes do once they out of the canyon, right? They try to slaughter each other, cut throat each other, of course, because we just barely escape. But the neighbors are still assholes. Only by lying about us, able to convince the tribes to make peace. The episodes show how human memory works. People live in ethereal orphans. They hate each other. If they get rid of orphans, everything would be fine. Or just lie to them about something and everything will be fine. Poor primitive stuff. That's all to be. Write your commentaries. Send me donation like cement or women for born children, or even more guns, maybe cutting paper like dollars and other. Maybe gold or silver, Aang dreams psychedelic dreams about the storm he got into earlier. The weather promised to be good. The sky is clear, but seagulls are flying low. That means there will be a storm. It's telling us natively. Look at the storytelling skills. Don't mind that sometimes the creator may things up, but in the small things, it's nice. These small things are shining. Prince Zuccoington argues with his uncle and refuses to think about the crew's safety, and he was stupid enough to sleep about this in front of the crew itself, and now the crew knows the prince doesn't give a damn about them. Well, what you can do? Sokka gets hired on a fishing boat for food. Interestingly, the fisherman already has grey hair but still lacks the brains to systemize knowledge about fishing and understand that low flying figures means a storm. The specific smell of water means a storm. It doesn't cling in his head because he has a fight with his own wife that he preferred from other in his past. Why you choose this woman so fighting in old? For what you doing this? And you kind of fully idiot. 146% idiot or what? Why are you doing this? For what? The lieutenant is rude to Zuko about his miscalculation and say the uncle was right about the storm. Zuko is rude back, the lieutenant is rude back, and now they almost fight. Only Uncle Ara stops the brawl. It's a tough thing to give someone a slap on the head. You got distracted and they smashed each other's heads. If Uncle Ira Hazelson had stepped away to the restroom, maybe they would have cut each other. I declare a group minute of silence in honor of Ira Hazelson fought. Phones put aside, and we quietly waited in 1 minute. The shaman really tells Aang that he didn't try to save everyone after all. He's but well, that's also a joke. Why on the earth should anyone save you, old man? Did he sign up for this role? No. Well, Aang has a childhood trauma. He constantly babbles that he's to blame for everything. He blames himself beforehand. Also, the question arises, can you be a cool diplomat if since childhood you're used to blaming yourself constantly? I think no. Cunning uncles and aunts will just twist you like a sucker. In case it's not even a cunning uncle, but some kind of lumberjack offended by life and everyone around because of his own weakness and your knees give you out already. Write in comments how you deal with such critiques, like Aang's case. Aang tells details about how he got into the iceberg. At first, he carelessly played in his temple, but at 11 years old he was declared Avatar ahead of time, justified by the fact that it was time to seriously train because war was approaching. This arrangement didn't suit Aang much, since he was 11 and at the time an interest in playing with peers, not boring drills. They in turn didn't want to play with him because he was Avatar, plus they announced that Mangatsu was no longer Aang's mentor, and Aang lost a friend. He supposed about it, that he lost a friend. Word for word, Aang snipped and ran away from the temple, leaving a note that why he's feeling guilty. That's why he suffers. It wasn't his grandfather that hurt him, but that's because of his guilty of his mentor dies. Sadness. By the way, the mentor was old, so he would have died anyway. Death is part of our life, and we must prepare for this from childhood. And it comes unexpectedly. This is given and should be accepted so that after death it won't be painfully hard, and to prepare in advance not to suffer in the afterlife. Ira Hazelson tells the crew about Zuko's Aze-san fate to calm tension. He says that Zuko Aze-san once already tried to defend his soldiers at General's meeting, for which he paid the price. Emperor Ozai Azelson said that only Agno Kai can resolve the dispute between the generals, and Zuko Aze-san. But Ozai Azelson himself stepped up for it too, reminded that this was the dumbest move by Ozai Azelson. Of course, he thought it would make Zuko Aze-san a harder fighter, but he was wrong. Actually, if it weren't for Ira Azelson influence, Ozai Azelson would have been killed long ago. For those who don't get it, Ozai Azelson wasn't killed earlier by his own, only because of Ira Hazelson's influence. Since the war needed to be cleverly finished to keep the earnest lens and not fall into a collapse. Ira Hazelson understands that war has dragged on and something must be done. So for decades he methodically works on a plan to close the military campaign. And the fact that Ozai Hazelson wasn't killed is thanks for Ira Hazelson. Not because Ozai is some typical screamer and everybody fears him and he's villain. No, not a villain. Life only because he plays a scapegoat role. In the future, we will see the results of Ira Hazelson's actions. Emperor Ozai banished Zuko, and from childhood resistment, Zuko Aze-san changed his character. If before he was an obedient boy, the trauma from his father changed him, and Zuko Aze-san decided to become angry, aggressive, and absolutely undiplomatic scoundrel. As you understand, living in constant resentment and betrayal everywhere is simply impossible. To heal from this, you must at least recognize the problem. But many don't realize and live in this. They live in the resentment like Zuko Aze-san, in fear like ordinary citizen, in self-blame like Aang, in the shame that they are somehow unlike Azula. We will see that in the future, if anything. And that's only the way out of the situation. Realize you are in shit and need to do something about it. Identify the problem and how you want to live differently, and hand out the cut of paper of right specialist. Give it to idiot, get a idiot results, and you will still think there are working technologies and such bullshit. But actually you've been fooled and dragged this like a pack mule. The episodes end, the Avatar saving the old fisherman, the Gazai-san in turn saves the lookout during the storm. Natalie the Avatar and decides not to pursue him. Crew safety will be more important. And ask Ira Azulson for forgiveness for being rude to him. On this pleasant note, when everything is good and generally a happy end, we will end. Archers are trained in the best of the best archers of all Japanese nation. Commander Zhao asking the castle commandant to give him his archers, and commandant refuses and says that he don't plan to risk his best archers for Zhao's career. Then comes message from Emperor Ozai Azulon-san. Now Zhao is admiral, so he is asked now order. Do you remember when Admiral Zhao took priests like a prisoners? So it's because of this he stay admiral. Because of 8 series, we have result in 13 series here. Because he took them to Emperor and presented Emperor plan for catching Avatar. Sokka are sick and he needs medicine. Katara are ill too by Sokka, so only who can help it's Aang. He goes to old woman to take medicine. At way home, elite archers takes Avatar as a prisoner. Actually, most of all Avatar's captivity is because of his pacifist position, if you see more carefully. Meanwhile, Zuko Ozai's son now knows that Zhao stayed admiral, so he has much more resources for capturing the Avatar, and Zuko Ozai's son stayed mentally ill because of this. His sins are cut, but looks like Ira Azulon-son advised Zuko Ozai's son how he can to capture Avatar with shinobi skills. Because how Zuko Ozai's son could even learn these skills by himself? It's Ira Azul-son has taught him. It's not because of beauty eyes. Somebody takes so high organized shinobi skills as you see in next scene. Someone in blue mask, and we now know that it's Zuko Azulon-son comes to castle to catch up the Avatar. The blue mask sneaks into the castle successfully and breaks Zhao's guard. So as you see, it's just Zhao's people can do their duties normal, and they idiots, but everyone else in the castle who was taught by commandant of this castle are normal, and even agreed. And we see it in the next 10, because of not all gardens in the castle, it's Zhao's retard. So guards of commandant find out Avatar and Blue Mask and start chasing them. They're doing everything right and high organized, even without screaming command. They know what they should do. The Pekiners are around in Avatar and strike. The others cut way out and close the gates. When Avatar and Blue Mask with high difficulty out from trap, the Guardians prepared already 3 new ways to wreck life of Avatar and his companion. And gods even could catch the Avatar and even could kill the Avatar. But Puzdmiral Zhao wanted him alive. So he ordered not to kill Avatar and take a life. So just because of Puzdmiral Zhao's idiots plan, Avatar and Zuko are alive. Even if you have all high organized people in your service, even if you have all money of this earth, you will lose it if you're so dumb as Admiral Chow and have childhood complex as Admiral Chow has. Blue Mask was stunned by arrowing head. Avatar Aang, knowing that it was Zuko Zai-san under mask. In this kind of hard situation, he decided to help Zuko Zai-san to save his life. After Aang trying to talk heart to heart with Zuko Zai-san, but Zuko trying to strike the Avatar. Actually, Zuko Zai-san don't have the concrete plan what to do, because in this situation he could talk to Avatar. Tell him about his planning for future, tell him why the Avatar is so important and how they could end the war. At least he could ask the Avatar what you're fighting for and what you want to get in total by your fighting. And he doesn't. That's why Zuko Zai-san can catch the Avatar. He don't thinking about future, he's stuck in past. He's thinking that by catching Avatar he can back everything like it was in past. And get so-named harmony, and in real life it's so-called harmony, actually safety in windy sense of this word. Aang, Sokka and Katara ran into a villager who was being attacked by a bee. The bee swings powerful chopping blows, but the villager dodges every time. After he chases the bear away, the villager says he is grateful for the help, but nothing would have happened to him anyway, because Aunt Wu said the journey would be safe. Aunt Wu is the villager fortune teller. Naturally, Sokka is anti-believer and communist, atheist, argues against the fortune teller throughout the whole episode. Actually, Sokka is right here, contrary here. Through the episode, villagers repeatedly show idiocy toward fortune teller. But they are idiots not because they believe Aunt Wu, but because they handed over responsibility of their lives to her. Aunt Wu is just a person. Person can make mistakes. Yet these villagers treat Aunt Wu not as a human with extraordinary abilities compared to ordinary people, but as idol who will decide their fate. It's so easy to shift responsibility for your life into someone else and then blame them if something goes wrong. You don't have to do anything yourself. You are always a good one. This attitude is just priceless. Aunt Wu welcomes Aang and makes all sorts of pro-series to him. Naturally, Aang doesn't really care about fate as long as he can reproduce. So he can make the Scythe's choice suggested by a love-struck couple to gift a flower, and climbs the mountain and notice that Aunt's early predictions that everything would be fine was wrong because of volcano can erupt. He returns to warn the people. But the villagers couldn't care less. They didn't just confine Aunt's full rightness, they shift full responsibility for their lives onto her. She's now the source of all blessings and curses. This speaks to the fact that there are people in our society, so-named society, who aren't interested in the planning of their lives, own lives, not someone else's lives, but own their lives. They just want to throw responsibility onto someone else. A father Lord, for example, who will be a father figure, grandpa, and deity, and let him solve all the problems. This is fundamentally slavish attitude. Whatever, it's not good or bad, it exists. That's why it's funny to hear people say that's going to work today in this modern slavery. Maybe people actually want to be slaves. Have you thought about that? You go to work, eat afterwards, watch TV, and don't worry about tomorrow or what will happen in 20 years. You don't have to spend 5 hours a day just on your kids' education, then 7 more at work without days off. It's bliss, really. Thought here, 60-80% 20% tax on everything, but that's just the details, you know. The Avatar team makes a firm decision to create a fake cloud to warn about the volcano's eruption. To do this, the team Avatar steals onto Book of Fortunes and creates a cloud that signals danger. And Sokka organizes people to dig a trench so lava will bypass the village, done and dusted. People dug the trench, but it wasn't enough. Avatar has to use secret Shaolin magic. Near the end of the episode, it's revealed the Avatar team tricked Anfu and had previously stolen her little book. Here's the deal. Anfu, the fortune teller, is simply an experienced psychologist. Not some quack you would find by googling the first thing, but a person with experience who studied more than 1,000 lives and consulted the same number of people. She just have a lot of experience and insight in her world. Of course, she learned from another specialist before, so most of the predictions are accurate. Mostly her prophecies concern human fates, which isn't surprising. These are easily to understand that the complex nature of the world. But the villagers gave Anfu authority of a prophet who knows everything, so she's state idol. Which is not true. She's just one woman. Physically impossible to be an expert in everything because she is only one person and have a limited time to live. Physically impossible to be an expert in everything because she's only one person. But I repeat, it's easy for people to push responsibility for their lives onto someone else. They indirectly proves that slavery exists not because of evil slave owners, as the now deceased communist, so-named communist claimed, but because there was demand for slavery from cowardly citizens and supply from feudal lords. I take responsibility and you obey me in everything. This is fundamentally slavish attitude. Whatever it's good or bad, it exists. That's why it's funny to hear people say that going to work today is more than slavery. Maybe people actually want to be slaves. Have you thought about it? You go to work, eat after work, watch TV, and don't worry about tomorrow. What will happen in 20 years? You don't have to spend 5 hours a day just on your kids' education, then 7 more hours a day at work without days off. It's bliss, really. So there is 60 or maybe 80% tax on everything, but that's just details. Avatar Common finds Walter, tribe citizen named Baggett. Sokka and Katara talking with Baggett more much time than with Aang, so Aang feeling discomfort about it. He's still thinking like child and want more attention. Meanwhile, he can protect yourself by kung fu airbending magic, but sex grow up comes in few clusters here. Ira Azul-san and Zuko Azai-san drinking a tea. Meanwhile, some kind of strange pretty-faced woman at Big Spoons break a ship and says that she's looking for a prisoner that escaped earlier. Then make damage to ship, find out the prisoner and walk away. Of course, Zuko Azai-san don't like this, but he's have idea of using this woman to find Avatar and he's going to make a deal. Because of Zuko Azai-san bad diplomat, Aro Azulon-san help him with advice to offer gold for Monk Aang. Of course, Zuko Azai-san could kill this woman. He have enough power, and no one did him pay for it. But who need it if you can use it in ace up one's sleeve? Sokka attained a man in initiation by sailing a ship, so in law he stay more privileged than Katara and any woman free or slaved by official, because Sokka is free person, Some kind of short-minded two-legs thinking that if you have half population at women's and men's, it's wrong. You need equality. But it's absolutely a progressive move. Population where men equal to women are degenerate population. If you read history, you know that Roman Empire has really big demographic problems before falling. This is because of equaling females with men, and when you equal women to men, you make women more privileged and men more unprivileged, because men should go to war and women should not because of nature things. So you shoot in your own leg by doing this. If you're in government and doing this, you're making trouble for yourself by ruining your state. So you can't steal money from your state because your state would be destroyed. If you're a simple person, you shoot at your leg by making yourself cuckold with this mindset. So don't do this. Zuko Azai-san find out the Avatar and start fighting with him. Look how Ira Azulon-san don't help actively Zuko Azai-san, only with advice. And we know that Ira Azulon-san more powerful than we see in first time view. So why he's not helping? Why he preferred to communist perfume and grab sweet girls' ass before helping his nephew? Because Zuko Azai-san need to make his own decisions and get experience by this. Suddenly he become emperor. At emperor position you will then have extra stress and you should be prepared. If Ira Azulon-san would be wipes but to Zuko Azai-san, so Zuko will be peaceful pussy femboy. Like Aang, for example. So someone murdered him at this position, or make puppet. And Ira Azulon-san needs to save dynasty, so that's why he doing this way.
Baby Aang, old puss chick Katara and the dude Sokka go to Even, the festival of Fire Nation. During the festival, Aang accidentally showed off his own abilities and the fact that he is the Avatar, and they had to run away from the gods. Luckily, some shitty fellow from Partisan Squad connected to Zhong Zhong saves them. Against orders, he decided to bring the Avatar to have talk with Zhong Zhong, thinking they absolutely must have a conversation. Why is Zhong Zhong avoid talking? Because he's a member of White Lotus and have full knowledge of Aang is supposed to do, and at this point Aang's tasked to study the magic of water element, meaning to reach the Northern Pole and train under the White Lotus member Pakku. Then, following King's Booby instruction, he must find a young Ashbender teacher. Since King Boomy himself is already ancient pensioner, and besides a king, he clearly doesn't have time to train Aang, and only then should Aang start learning firebending. But of course, the shitty fellow is special snowflake, who thinks he knows better how a teach act should be. If he can force his wrong-headed way of thinking, then at least he can drag Aang along to put the master into an awkward situation. What idiocy move, right? Zhang Zhang refuses to train Aang despite his insistence. He tells him it's too early to learn any firebending at all. Naturally, Aang starts arguing, but it's my destiny to study magic. Zhong Zhong, however, make a sharp observation. What do you know about destiny, boy? If a fish swims down the river, does it mean that fish knows the destiny of the river? No, it only means that fish flows and flows in the river. The fish may swim along the correct way for his full life and never even reach the ocean. What you can talk about destiny? But then Avatar Roku appears and tells Zhong Zhong that he must train Aang. Notice what shows here. Aang is one person, Roku another. Different personalities, one soul. Each personality has its own motives, and just because Roku was a powerful man doesn't mean his motives align with those of the White Lotus, or that he even knows about the White Lotus at all. Hence the conflict. And of course, Jong Jong is not about to explain the whole truth to Aang at this stage, when he's completely unready. That would be ridiculous. Meanwhile, Admiral Zhao is chasing the Avatar. The local guards reported that the Avatar is hiding in the swamps, and during the chase, Zhao stumbles upon Zhong Zhong's partisan squad. Earlier, Admiral Zhao trained under Zhong Zhong, but because of his stubborn nature, they went their separate ways. The problem wasn't just Zhao's ambition, but his warped worldview. For example, he was hot-tempered and believed you could kill spirits and nothing would be happen for you in punchback. Well, maybe you can kill a spirit, but there will be punchback. Zhao, however, doesn't care about what would be after. He's not about what would be after at all, and that's exactly how his career famously ended. Zhao's problem with his fuel is resentment. He built an ambition picture in his head and wants to achieve it, and when people around him don't serve his desires, Admiral Zhao desires, then in his eyes they all idiots. You will see soon enough how Zhao ends up. Aang's training with Zhong Zhong leads only to Katara getting injured. Aang's burned Katara with his firebending in very village-style accident. Right on cue, Admiral Zhao's squad attacks Zhong Zhong partisans hideout. Aang clashes with Admiral Zhao, while Zhong Zhong withdraws from the battlefield and retreating with his men. Manually, Aang defeats Admiral Zhao. Who else? After all, the show is called Avatar Aang, not Admiral Zhao, so who else is supposed to win? And then we learn that everyone scattered in different directions, while that shady fellow from the beginning of the episode got ditched by his own comrades. Serves him right. From a child perspective, it may look like he wanted the best for everyone, but in reality he just screwed his own people. If you hadn't tried to see the Avatar and had not dragged him to your partisan hideout, there would not have been a chase, and once the chase did happen, you reaped the consequences. You betrayed your comrades, allies, brother in arms, drinking buddies, for crying out loud. They paid you back in kind, and quite humanly at that. They only ditched you, didn't sleep out your throat. Who knows how it would have ended in real life? After all, it's still a children's cartoon. That's a mystery theory.
Aang and Katara hear the rumors that the Northern Eight Temple is actually her population. This shocked the gang since they thought the Tibetan-style air nomads had all been wiped out by friggin' Japanese nation. When the group arrived at the Northern Eight Temple, they found out it's not air nomads living there, but rather some tech nerds from Earth Kingdom. Inspired by air nomads' murals, they've built flying machines. In the process, they're tearing down parts of the ancient temple to put up their factories and water closets. Some of the tech nerds argue that progress is everything, but progress has always been driven by different cultures in turn. For example, first the Persian, then the Egyptians, then the Greeks, then Romans, then Germanic tribes that replaced the Western Roman Empire, then the Scandinavians who become the British, then the Americans from the British, a constant chain of the culture hands-offs. Science doesn't exist in vacuum, it's always rooted in culture. And here's the fine line, where the balance between respecting culture and pushing technical progress. It's all about progress or all about tradition. Personally, I think there is middle part between the two. What's now called technological progress is really just the old Soviet school idea. The culture is disposable and everything must have science. But that ideology is long dead. The notion of science above all itself a culture value, specifically the culture of the tech nerds. Aang meets the leader of the tech nerds, some guy with a big mustache. Later, at the request of the mustache guy's son, Aang uses his avian abilities to unlock a sealed chamber of the temple. But inside, they discover the tech nerd leader has been secretly manufacturing weapons for the Japanese nation. That's a nasty twist. We thought he was a good guy, but he's been collaborating with the local Navy. Not a great look. So, is it okay to work with occupiers, right? Especially not really. You are helping make weapons that kill people. But on the flip side, war has always been a driver of technological progress. Once again, the question, where exactly is the line between good and evil? In the end, Aang, Sokka and Katara team up with the tech nerds to fight back against the Fire Nation and end the collaboration. And all those gifts, the Fire Nation supplies, tools, resources for the temple, well, we just forget about this. Now they are good guys. The Fire Nation's attack is repelled, but during the battle, their airship is destroyed and promptly salvaged by the enemy. Later in the season 3, that same airship will play a major role. That's the brilliance of the show. Something that looked like a throwaway detail in season 1 turns out to the foreshadowing for the final battle. A classic Chekhov's gun moment, masterfully planned in advance. Aang, Sokka and Katara finally arrives to North Pole to teach Element magic. The team is greeted with full honors, as it should be. They even launch fireworks. Well, Katara and Sokka, being small town folks, are of course blown away by all this grandeur, by the culture of the northern neighbors. Sokka tries to flirt with the princess, which is very strange, by the way. Technically, there should be strict supervision around the princess. In principle, it's only possible if the society is in active degradation, meaning in war they are all trash, as we will see later. And in the culture technological progress, you as a people are also trash. And as a result, your princess can just walk around and kiss with randoms. So basically, virginity doesn't make any sense and mean nothing. Am I getting right? Then what's even the point of a marriage of a conversation? Then what point of arranged marriage if your princess can fuck and kiss with randoms? I don't know. Aang and his domina Katara comes to study Bu's element to most powerful trainer Pakku. In northern Polish traditions, they don't teach women battle magic, and it's right. Then Katara tries to fool Pakku by studying Bu's element not by Pakku but by Aang. Then Pakku finds out and break contract with Aang. Then stop teaching him. In this series, good to see Katara's real character. It's foolish village shrew that thinking her pussy most valuable in this world, and everyone should do like she won't. And this dialogue just perfect.
I'm not doing this for you. Someone has to get this old man and teach him manners. And this is about the most powerful waterbender alive. That's I'm bringing right here. My pussy is the most important thing in this world. I won't apologize for tricking you, even though I did something vile. I won't take responsibility. Obviously, nothing serious will happen to Katara, since she's the Avatar's friend, but a rotten character gets passed on the children, and that's where I wouldn't want to be in their places. Katara and Pakku start dueling, and Katara's lose, of course. She don't have experience, she can't control herself by the way she's a woman. And Pakku don't kill Katara and start teaching her just because of Deus Ex Machina like Granny's necklace. Of course, Pakku don't remember it. Necklace could fall 2 meters right or 3 meters left, then he will not find it. But who cares logic, right? By the way, Katara, it's a great person here. Absolutely idiotic person. 100% brainwashed feminism and thinking that her pussy most powerful and valuable in this world. Even Deathy couldn't change her mind and stop bully Master Pakku. If this would be 200 years ago, she's already would be dead. But it's kinda shit show. So we would eat shit in pounds here. Sokka meets Princess Yui, but Princess already engaged to someone. It's Grid Stan where Sokka see how women fuck his brain and decide it out, and then Princess kiss him. When understands that this meat could be lost, Sokka don't understand why Princess doing like this, and I will teach you. Women can do their own decisions. They can just do what someone say something to do. If you don't say what you do to your woman, it means someone say her what to do. What clothes she should wear, what dreams she should have, how communicate with other persons, everything. And of course the idea that a princess would be walking around alone anywhere at all, that's just ridiculous. She's a princess or some kind of war, I don't know. Meanwhile, Uncle Ira has alone something in his song.
Winter, spring, summer and fall. Winter, spring, summer and fall. 4 seasons, 4 loves. 4 seasons, 4 loves.
Then comes Admiral Zhao, who recruits Zuko Azaison's team. And Pirates even tries to kill Zuko Azaison, but the assassination attempt was unsuccessful. Looks like Zuko's Azaison team weren't being servants and was mercenaries. Because if they would be servants, they couldn't leave because of cutting paper or something else. And if they leave, they should be mercenaries. And mercs can do this by common law. I think that Zuko Azaison and Ira Hazalonson were conspired earlier because Ira Hazalonson too far-thinking and knew that Admiral Zhao would try to make assassination because he defeated in duel before. I remind you why Zuko Azaison don't kill Admiral Zhao at duel before. It's because he should have diplomat reputation. So when he would come back to take thrones, everyone would know that Zuko Azaison say real interest before emotion. And he's young and he's legit, so we can make deal with him. In this series we see Katara don't have any manners. She spitted young in kid gypsy camp and here's result. disrespectful attitude toward to people, most powerful persons who could snap your spine in half. Honestly, that's a great dialogue was earlier. I'm not doing this for you. Someone has to take down this old man. And it's about the most powerful waterbender alive. I'm bringing on full display. My pussy is the most important things ever. I won't apologize for lying to you. Even thought I did something nasty, I refuse to take responsibility. Obviously, nothing serious will happen to her. She's Avatar's friend. But that character will pass down to kids, and they will have bad way to live. Paco didn't harm Katara only because of nostalgia for the past, and thus laudable claims about marriage of convenience, not love, be nonsense. That's exactly why girls used to get married right after 12 to avoid this kind of feminine stupidly I'm so important pussy, but I don't love, and I won't. In female logic, love means my little pussy isn't as wet as I'd like. She's not feeling it, you see. And society is supposed to reorganize itself around the mood swinging of Katara's pussy. Just so she's comfortable, right? Just so things go exactly how she wants. Is that I'm correct? Of course I'm correct. Katara duels with Pacu's students and beat them all without much resistance. Well, I can't believe Katara could smack around all the Pacu students. The logic is simple. The society was powerful earlier, but now all the men have turned into handpicked tribe. They can resist a little, maybe a generation or two more, but they've lost the spirit needed for total war. Naturally, the children reflect that lack of warrior spirit, so a lady can just stroll in the wind duels with no trouble at all. But this doesn't make Katara some kind of uber super mega fighter. It only means those kids are terrible fighters. If a lady beats a guy, it's not because the lady is strong warrior, but because the guy is weak. Sakamoto, his buddy's Appa, the flying Ferrari, to take a girl for a ride. He doesn't care that she's engaged and soon be another man's wife. This kind of thing only happen in degradation society. In any stable culture, they would never allow a princess to wander off with some random boy without supervision. Especially a young girl with young women. Doesn't matter if they are honored guests. Honored guests are one thing, guarding the princess' virginity is another. I really don't know what level of idiocy it takes not to realize they will end up kissing and more. Aira Azulonson and Puzmeral Jao hold the war council before launching the Achtung bombardering on the northern tribe. Puzmeral Jao throws sarcastic comments to Aira Azulonson, but Aira Azulonson couldn't care less. He just swallows it calmly. The scene between Aira Azulonson and Puzmeral Jao is instructive. Why is he so easy to fool Jao? Because he's proud. The proud are always easy to manipulate, and prideful men always lose to their pride. They will feed him disinformation, like when he was told the assassination attempt on Zuko Azaison was successful, or when he was told that nobody suspected Zhao, despite his raging temper making it obvious he'd planned something reckless. The people of Wotka tribe at the Northern Pole hold a civil council. The leader gave a rousing patriotic speech urging unity against the foreign invaders. He also declares that the commander of the super secret mission to assassinate Puzmeral Jao will be Princess Yu's future husband. As soon as the girl dumps Sokka, he suddenly goes full reckless and volunteers himself. This just shows how degraded the society is. They can't actually win because politicals say the right votes, but votes without action are useless. The handpicked tribe will win only because Ira Azulonson is on their side. The avatar himself hardly matters, he's just the proxy of the White Lotus. That's why he wins. And why the handpicked water tribe wins. In a straight dogfight, they will be crushed. The acting bombardering begins. The handpicked water tribe is bombed by the Japanese. The avatar neutralized one of the ships, and the show demonstrates that mass organized does have results in a large-scale war. Local heroic matters, but they are just small drops. Nice detail, in earlier episodes, they froze a ship with waterbending, and here's the result. They repeat the same move. That's mastery in the small things. They have not fought in 85 years. They live in another university. The nature of war has long since changed, but they never noticed, which is logical. The people have degraded, and it's not even about warfare itself. It's about moral and spiritual bearing. And those begin with the choices of each individual. From their comes cities, the nations, then aliens. It always starts with one person. The elite squad of the handpicked water tribe prepares for the assassination mission on Pismiral Jar. The commander of the super secret A class squad talks with Sokka. He says, I haven't this much woman. I have many women, but you is the best. I'm playboy, philanthrope, who only goes for the top tier. Top G. Right. And what else should one recall before battle? Normal people prefer gear. Stay silent, gather inner strength. They remember the great warriors of past generation. They read epics. They pray. They made detailed plans, hundreds of backup plans, just in case. Remember DuckTales with Scrooge McDuck? Even the small dogs had over 300 plans if something went wrong. But these guys don't care. They are busy talking about girls' pussies. And the result is obvious. This person with no name is going to be buried right there. I mean, not right there in this moment, but in future. You will see it. Avatar and Roku meet in hallucination dreams and talking with each other. Avatar asks advice. Aang asks advice at Roku. How better to strike back Japanese army? The existential question arrives once again. Roku is Aang in the past life. The soul has migrated, but the personalities are different. Mostly different people, but they are connected by the soul and ethereal body. Your previous life is your previous personality. Different person, different people. Big computers turn to specific software, and the soul that migrates from one incarnation to the next is eternal. Around this time, we find out that the Avatar has been kidnapped by Prince Zuko. He was hiding from the blizzard, but that wasn't enough to escape the pursuit of Appa, Sokka, and Katara. Zuko is disarmed, and they are about to leave him behind, but the Aang shows confirmation. After all, Zuko once saved his life, so now it's only fair to return the favor. Of course, Zuko didn't save Aang out of kindness. It was purely political, since he wanted to capture him himself. But Aang saved Zuko out of genuine compensation. Later in Season 2, Zuko will face a deep spiritual and psychological crisis rooted in this moment. Because really, Aang could have left him to die, but he didn't. And that's mercy plants the first seeds to to Zuko's change. Kuzmeral Zhao kills the moon spirit anyway. His story takes a heavy them what chaos fall when idiots gain access to dangerous knowledge. Some knowledge must be protected. In the wrong hands, it's like giving a chimpanzee the launch codes to nuclear missiles. Kuzmeral Zhao just pressed the button because he could. Why? Because nobody stopped him in time. Sometimes violence is not the answer, but sometimes it's the only answer. If Ira Azulonson had let Kuzmeral Zhao die early in the duel, things might have turned out differently. A full loading an army causes far more damage than a full running a firm. It's society's responsibility not to let fools gain power. Otherwise, you end up with a nuclear disaster. This is not about preferences, it's about survival. Ira Hazlonson tells Princess Yui she can give up her life to restore the moon, since she only lived thanks to the moon spirit's blessing. Yui accepts her fate, sacrifices herself, and balance in restore. The Avatar unites with the spirits of the ocean and the moon, goes full ultimate mode, and wipes all the invasion fleet. Balance returned, but as the Northern Chief points out, it's a Pyrrhic victory. They won, but at a terrible cost. They had avoided war for nearly a century and failed to prepare for it. They were saved only because wise outsiders, Paku, Iro Hazlonson, and the Avatar Aang, stood by them. Nothing more, nothing less. Without them, the Northern tribe would have been wiped out. Zuko and Zhao are dueling. Zhao saying that Zuko Azaison should have accepted defeat rather than side with the enemy, claiming the honor of their glorious nation outweighed Zuko Azaison's personal motives. He blames Zuko for his own failures. Zuko Azaison bothered to argue back, but really, what's the point? Zuko Kuzmeral Zhao, isn't speaking as a rational man. He's an animal who clawed his way up through brute force. Give such an animal power and you end up with a monkey holding a machine gun. If not for Aero Azolonson political maneuvers, Kuzmeral Zhao would we been dead long ago. At the end, when Kuzmeral Zhao is drawing, he refused Zuko Azaison offered hand. He chooses death instead. And frankly, grabbing Zuko Azaison's head would not have saved him anyway. Kuzmeral Zhao dies as he lived, stubborn and self-destructive. This moment marks the beginning of Zuko's Azaison transformation. Aang's act of mercy touched him deeply, and now Zuko Azaison himself tries to save Kuzmeral Zhao. Despite the enmity, the rage in him starts to subside. It's the act of princes destined for a great thing. Someone who values the empire's survival above his own grudge. Grudges was the word. And with that, season 1 ends. Ah, yeah, we get one Azuri pussy at the end. Foreshadowing the storm that's coming in season 2.